Welcome to the deep dive. We take the sources you give us, dig into them, and pull out the key insights, basically turning raw info into real understanding.
That's the goal.
And today, we're diving into Hathras, a city in Uttar Pradesh, India. Our sources really paint a picture: history, culture, economy, the whole identity.
A pretty rich tapestry, yeah.
Our mission here is to really distill what makes Hathras tick for you. Show you why this place, with its deep history and culture, is, well, a bit of a gem. There are some surprising facts in there, and its role in India's story. It's important, even if it doesn't always make the headlines.
Absolutely. Often overlooked, but significant.
So, get ready. We're going to uncover the layers of Hathras. Okay, let's
Yeah.
start with the basics. Location. Where exactly is Hathras, and, why does the geography matter here?
Right, so Hathras, it's in western Uttar Pradesh, western UP as it's often called.
Okay.
And its position is, well, it's quite strategic, actually. Almost like a crossroads,
Crossroads, how so?
because it's really close to some major places. Historically and economically speaking, think Agra, Aligarh, Mathura. They're all nearby.
Right. The big neighbors.
Exactly. And it's part of the Aligarh division, sits about 178 meters above sea level.
Mm-hmm.
So that location, right there in those really fertile plains of western UP, that's been key historically. A transit point, sure, but also underpinning its whole agricultural base.
That makes sense. And that kind of strategic spot, it often means a deeper history, doesn't it?
It usually does.
Our sources point to Hathras playing this maybe surprising role in the independence struggle, specifically the 1857 revolution.
Yes, that's a really interesting part of its story.
So, okay, let's unpack this. How did a city like Hathras, which maybe isn't the first name you think of, become such a, well, flashpoint, especially with Raja Dairam Singh Jat? What made it stand out?
That's a great question. Because what the sources show is that Hathras wasn't just swept along. Raja Dairam Singh Jat actively led a major rebellion there against the British in 1857.
Right, he led it.
Yeah, and his leadership worked, it seems, because he tapped into real local discontent. Villagers, landholders, they were really unhappy with British land policies, the heavy taxes.
So specific local issues were the spark.
Exactly. Combine that with Dairam Singh Jat's own authority, plus a strong local martial tradition, Hathras became a genuine center of resistance. Wow. And what's fascinating here is how this local resistance, led by figures like him, shows just how widespread the independence movement really was. It wasn't just a few big cities. It was happening across different regions, driven by local factors.
That paints a much more complex picture than the standard textbook version sometimes.
It really does. It highlights these often unsung contributions. Oh, and just for context, the city itself was formally declared a district much later in 1997.
Okay.
And its main administrative areas, the Masels, are Sasni, Sadabad, and Sikandrarao.
Got it. So moving from that crucial history, let's talk about the people, the culture today. What's the vibe in Hathras? What about population, languages?
Well, the last big census, 2011, put the population around 1.5 million. Okay, decent size. Yeah, and language-wise, you've got Hindi, naturally, but also a lot of Braj Bhasha spoken, which is rooted in the region. And there's a notable Urdu-speaking community, too.
So a real mix.
A definite blend. And that mix isn't just linguistic. It points to centuries of cultural interaction in this area.
And you feel that in daily life, festivals.
Oh, absolutely. The sources talk about the festive spirit being really strong. Holi, Diwali, Eid. They're all celebrated with massive enthusiasm.
The big ones, yeah.
Right. Plus, lots of local fairs, which are huge community events. And then you have key religious sites like the Chamunda Devi Temple, the Hanuman Temple. They're not just places for prayer. They act as, like, community anchors.
Here's where it gets really interesting. That blend of languages, the sheer enthusiasm for the festivals, it paints a picture of a very alive place.
Totally. It's vibrant.
How does that cultural mix, all those traditions living side by side, shape Hathras's identity within the bigger Indian picture?
Well, I think if we connect this to the bigger picture, Hathras really acts like a microcosm of India's diversity, doesn't it?
In what way?
It shows how different languages, different traditions, they don't just exist separately. They mingle, they influence each other, they create something unique locally while still being, fundamentally Indian. It's that pluralism in action.
Living example. Okay, let's shift gears to the economy. Agriculture is dominant. We established that.
Very much so.
But our sources flag something else, something unique, kind of surprising. What's that about?
Yes. Okay, so agriculture is the base. Wheat, paddy, which is rice mustard, they grow a lot of that.
Right.
But the really unique thing, Hathras is a major producer of asafoetida, hang, as it's called in India.
Dang. Wow. Okay, that's not something you hear every day. How does a city become a national hub for something so specific?
It's fascinating, isn't it? The sources suggest it's a mix of things. Historically, Hathras became this key point for processing and trading raw asafoetida.
Processing, not growing.
Exactly. The raw stuff often came in from places like Afghanistan, Central Asia, through old trade routes.
Ah, right.
And over generations, local families developed this specialized expertise. They knew how to process it, refine it, package it. It became a craft.
So inherited knowledge and skill.
Yes. And apparently, the local climate, while not right for growing hing, turned out to be ideal for the specific processing steps. So they carved out this amazing niche.
That's incredible. So what does this all mean for its economy beyond the hing? Are there other pillars?
Yeah, definitely. It's not just hing and farming. There are small-scale industrial units, quite a few brick kilns mentioned, and a pretty strong dairy business, too, all important for local jobs.
So a mix, but with this very unique spice specialization. A great example of local factors creating a national leader.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we know what happens inside Hathras. How connected is it to the outside? How easy is it to get there or get goods out?
Connectivity looks pretty solid, actually. Rail is strong. You've got Hathras Junction and Hathras City stations.
Major lines.
Yeah, they link up to big cities like Delhi, Agra, Kanpur, vital connections.
And roads.
Roads are good too. National highways NH34 and NH91 run through or close by. So good for moving goods and people.
Okay. Air travel.
Right now, the nearest airport is Agra. But there's the new Jewar airport coming up, which is expected to really boost accessibility for Hathras in the future.
So pretty well linked up overall, and that's crucial, right, for trade, for culture, for just being part of the national flow.
Absolutely vital. It connects the local hub to that wider network, essential for growth and exchange.
Now, thinking about visitors, maybe tourists, if someone's traveling in that region, does Hathras offer reasons to stop? Or maybe use it as a base?
It's actually really well placed for that. You're not far from some major attractions.
Like what?
Well, Vrindavan, the huge pilgrimage site for Lord Krishna, is nearby.
Okay, very famous.
Then obviously you've got Agra and the Taj Mahal, a global icon within easy reach.
Can't miss that.
And the historic Aligarh Fort is also close. So yeah, Hathras could definitely be a useful stop or even a base camp for exploring that whole culturally rich area of UP.
Positions it nicely within a sort of heritage circuit.
Exactly. It's part of that wider regional story.
Okay, but let's be realistic. No place is perfect. Our sources do mention some challenges Hathras is facing, areas where it's working to improve.
That's right. Like many cities, it has its hurdles.
What are the main ones identified?
The sources point to a few key areas. Needing to expand health services is one.
Healthcare access, common issue.
Improving road infrastructure, continuing that work. Addressing youth employment is another big one.
Finding jobs for young people.
Right. Maybe looking beyond just agriculture and the existing small industries, trying to diversify opportunities. And enhancing women's safety is also mentioned as an area of focus.
Okay, so some significant development goals there, things many places are grappling with.
Definitely. These aren't unique problems to Hathras, but what's also clear from the sources is this sense of resilience.
How so?
Well, despite these challenges, you get the feeling that the spirit of the people, the hard work combined with that rich heritage and cultural vibrancy we talked about, that all endures, and it kind of solidifies Hathras' unique place. What's fascinating here is how, despite these hurdles, that core identity seems really strong.
Right. The challenges are there, but so is the foundation.
Exactly. They're working on the future, grounded in that past.
So let's recap this deep dive then. We've covered Hathras from its strategic spot in western UP, its really interesting localized role back in the 1857 revolution,
With Raja Dayaram Singh Jat, yeah.
to its economy today. Strong in farming, but also this surprising national powerhouse for asafoetida, driven by generations of know-how.
That hang story is quite something.
We've touched on its vibrant cultural life, the mix of languages and festivals, its solid connectivity, and also, realistically, the areas it's focused on improving.
Right. We've covered a lot of ground, and hopefully what you, the listener, have gained isn't just, a list of facts about Hathras.
More than just trivia.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a better feel for how a place like this, with its own specific history, its unique contributions like the hing trade, its particular cultural blend, how it all weaves into the bigger story of India.
It's a good reminder, isn't it, that understanding a country, a region, It often means looking past the headlines.
Definitely. Digging into the details of these maybe seemingly smaller places that actually have a profound impact. Places like Hathras.
So here's something to think about. How do the deep histories, the unique economies, the specific cultural vibes of places like Hathras truly shape the wider national narrative? Often in ways the big news stories completely miss.
Mm-hmm.
What other hidden gems, what other crucial local stories might be out there waiting to be understood if you just took a real deep dive into the information around you?